Talking about James Harden and the Houston Rockets, the Carmelo Anthony trade speculation going on. Harden averaged about 29, 11, and 9 last year, which is pretty good. MVP candidate. Honestly, I felt like should have won the MVP last year. But he's going to have to change his game. Maybe come off the ball, shooting guard, kind of what he did in OKC with him and Chris Paul on the squad. If they get Melo, I honestly don't see that as a fit. They'll be a good offensive team, but they're all ball stoppers, and they are ball-dominant guards and small forwards. So they're going to need the ball in their hands. None of them really can come off ball, maybe except for James Harden. I mean, Melo averaged 22, 3, and 6 last year. And he's been in Mike D'Antoni's system before in New York years ago. And him and Mike D'Antoni didn't really have the best relationship because Carmelo, wanted to come off the wing and come off the elbow. And he never really wanted to do a spot up threes or follow the 7 seconds or less rule, which him and Mike D'Antoni got into arguments and stuff on the court and off the court in the locker room, which led to Mike D'Antoni leaving, obviously, because you're going to choose a superstar player over the coach. So I don't know how that's going to fit, especially in the Western Conference where the offenses are way better than in the East, and your defense in Houston is going to be ranked, 25th or below, honestly. And you got Chris Paul averaging 18, 5, and 9 last year, which was good, and he was an all-NBA defender, but he is a year older. He's been injury prone these last 3 or 4 years, having these weird freak injuries, hand injuries, quad and stuff like that. So we're going to see, and he's a really good mid-range shooter, honestly the best in the game besides DeMar DeRozan. But is he going to change his aspect and shoot more threes like Steve Nash did when he got in Mike D'Antoni's system in Phoenix? I mean, he says he is. He said in this press conference it is. I don't know, honestly. But more about Melo, honestly, the Blazers came up and said, they were looking to trade for him, which will be interesting. But, I'll talk about that in another video. So we'll want to see how this will work. Honestly, I don't see if them three working together because you're going to probably have to give up Ryan Anderson. But that's neither here or there. But you got LeBron James averaging 26, 8, and 8 last year. Of course, MVP candidate as always. Great player, best player in the NBA, honestly, to me still. Kevin Durant right at his heels. But where does he factor in all this? Because if Melo comes, Melo still has 2 more years on his contract. If Melo says, I agree to stay, and I agree to go to Cleveland, how does that work out? Because LeBron James is opting out next year. And there's a lot of speculation going on saying LeBron's going to leave and go to LA to play with Lonzo Ball. So how does that work out? How does Kevin Love fit into this too? Him averaging 19-11, was great for him, but when it came to the finals, he couldn't show up against Draymond Green and Kevin Durant. So what needs to get done with him? Honestly, the best thing for the Knicks to do is buy Melo out and let him go. But I feel like they're not going to do that because they need to get some type of compensation for him. Especially, they don't want to give him all that money, and then he gets a 15% trade kicker at the end of that contract. Unless he's willing to give some of that money back, which I honestly don't see, because Melo is about his money. And where does Kyrie fit in this? Averaging 25, 3, and 5 last year, which is great. He had one of his best years, but they struggled without LeBron James on the floor. I actually didn't win a game without LeBron James on the floor with him and Love. But you would think him and Love would honestly make the playoffs, at least if LeBron wasn't there. And it's looking more and more likely. Now, it's been reported that he might ask for a trade. But if Melo gets there and they can, if they can push the Warriors next year with them 4, not just 3,